Part 114. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1131. Next, Xiaoming passed several dungeons in a row with great momentum. His actions were similar. He tried his best to help a few NPCs who were considered good people, and killed all the bad guys directly, regardless of any good people pleading for him. For example, the plot of the next dungeon. After Ding Dian died, Di Yun had to do everything he could to bury Ding Dian and Ling Shuanghua together. Being chased by thieves, he accidentally hid in the backyard of Wan Mansion. He met his longtime junior sister Qi Fang and her daughter Kong Xincai. Speaking of which, it was because Qi Fang was beautiful that Wan Gui, the son of the master uncle Wan Zhenshan, was attracted by her beauty and framed Di Yun and put him in jail. Di Yun's master, Qi Fang's father, was settled by Wan Zhenshan using a trick. Qi Fang had no relatives and was helpless, so she had to marry Wan Gui. However, Qi Fang still had feelings for her senior brother. The nickname Kong Xincai given to her daughter was actually her nickname for Di Yun in the past. Di Yun had a conflict with Wan Gui in Wan Mansion, and both fell into a coma. Later, Qi Fang quietly sent her brother away, and gave him a lot of gold and silver jewelry as travel expenses. This leads to a question. In the previous copy, Xiaoming and others had already brought out Ling Shuanghua's body, and Ding Dian was not dead, so what was the point of burying them together? This is actually because of the setting principle of the copy in the Wuxia Planet game. The plot and character relationships of each copy are maintained at the time of the player's first pass, and will not change with each player. After all, normally, the system requires multiple players to open the copy, and Xiaoming is a player who can open the copy by himself, which can be said to be unique. The progress of each player in the previous copy is likely to be different, so it is difficult to make arrangements for the new copy. It's hard to please everyone. Therefore, each copy is simply set according to the plot background of the first pass, which saves trouble. And because the current level of players is not high, their interference in the plot is very general. So basically the plot of each dungeon is the original plot. Therefore, although Xiaoming won a great victory in the last Ding Dian prison escape dungeon, the next dungeon still has to follow the original. That was the dungeon that others had cleared for the first time. Of course, in the process of this dungeon, Xiaoming didn't care how Qi Fang begged, and still killed Wan Zhenshan and Wan Gui. In this way, Qi Fang had no choice but to take her daughter and follow her senior brother Di Yun. This is actually not very cost-effective. Qi Fang felt disgusted with Xiaoming, but Di Yun was mostly grateful. Xiaoming didn't care so much. He always believed that such a person who was full of evil should not be kept. Keeping him would make others suffer. Why? Xiaoming would not kill him sometimes, but he would definitely destroy the bad guy's fighting power and let him taste the feeling of being bullied. Just like those disciples of the Wan family, they were not good people. With the power of Wan Zhenshan and the government, they did all kinds of bad things. Xiaoming didn't show mercy to any of them. But after clearing the level, it was inevitable that he was a little bored. After all, this is just a copy, and what I did didn't change anything. In the next copy, Di Yun met the evil monk Baoxiang from the Blood Knife sect, and was almost eaten by him. Later, he was lucky and poisoned Baoxiang to death with poison soup. He also picked up a lot of equipment. In the next copy, Di Yun was mistaken for a lecherous monk from the Blood Knife sect because he was wearing Baoxiang's monk robe, and almost died under the swords of the Bell Sword twins Wang Xiaofeng and Shui Sheng. As a result, the Blood Knife sect ancestor suddenly appeared, and he thought Di Yun was his disciple. So he not only saved him, but also kidnapped Shui Sheng. There were several copies along the way, and all the people from all sides of the Central Plains martial arts went out collectively to intercept the Blood Knife ancestor and his group. Unfortunately, their martial arts were not good enough, and there were many casualties. Until the four masters of the southern four wonders of the Central Plains came out, they encountered an avalanche and were trapped in the snowy mountains with the three protagonists. To be honest, it was really easy for Xiaoming to pass these copies with his current kung fu. Even the four southern wonders and the blood knife patriarch, their martial arts were only about the level of Qiu Chuji and Wang Chuyi. It was a piece of cake. During the process, Xiaoming seemed to encounter some players from the hostile forces, as well as players from his own forces. However, Xiaoming ignored them all and rushed all the way at the fastest speed. After completing several dungeons, Xiaoming's game character obtained several years of internal strength, some silver and some secrets of the blood knife swordsmanship as dungeon rewards. Most of his time was spent on the road. From Jingzhou all the way west to the snow-capped mountains on the Sichuan-Tibet border, he had to pay for a ride many times. This is a martial arts game, and there is no such thing as a teleportation array. Spending more money is just to take a faster carriage, and you can't get there directly. When he arrived at the foot of the snow-capped mountains, Xiaoming looked around, and my gosh! There were hundreds of players here, holding weapons and blocking the road. The density was too high, and they were crowded together. They were all a group of expert players hired by the enemies of the Xian family, as well as a large number of local hooligans. Their kung fu level was not enough to enter the next dungeon. They were very suitable for blocking the road and preventing ordinary players from entering. This included the four players Xiaoming had met before. At that time, they used the positive and negative sword techniques of Huashan and Kunlun schools, and had certain strength. Unexpectedly, even the four of them were not qualified to enter the next dungeon. Xiaoming was also prepared for this. He took out a flute from the package and played the song of the rising tide of the Blue Sea. In fact, he should be able to get by hitting people with flying stones or forcing through with the 18 dragon palms. With the characteristics of the endless vitality of the Changshengju, he will not waste too much internal energy. But Xiaoming does not want to leak the information that he can use the 18 dragon palms so early. Besides, the Blue Sea Tide song has a characteristic that it is not mainly for killing, but for disturbing the enemy's mind and internal breath. If Xiaoming kills a player with a palm, he can be resurrected soon and know clearly how he died. But if he is confused by the Blue Sea Tide song, it is estimated that the system will detect that his mental fluctuations are abnormal and kick him offline for a period of time. He is probably confused. People's luck is different. Some people were settled by Huang Yaoxi's Blue Sea Tide song, at least they heard a good song before they got into trouble. This group of people are unlucky. Xiaoming himself was originally a tone-deaf person, the kind who basically can't find the tune. After the strength is improved to a level, the ability to distinguish the rhythm must be accurate. However, the sequelae of being tone-deaf still remain. Anyone who dares to listen to his music will have nightmares at night. It is just as the saying goes, listening to other people's music costs money, but listening to Xiaoming's music costs your life. After more than 20 minutes, half of the enemies were forced to go offline, and the other half lay on the ground and fell into a coma. Fortunately, this is a game. If it were in reality, there would definitely be many people vomiting and diarrhea, and their bowel and bladder control would be out of control, and the scene would be even more miserable. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1132. In front of him was originally a valley entrance, where Blood Knife Ancestor and others entered the valley. But they did not expect that an avalanche would suddenly occur, and the snow blocks sliding down from the heights completely buried the entrance, and even piled up a snow peak that was dozens of feet high. Ordinary masters could not enter. Only when they reached the level of Blood Knife Ancestor and others could they have the opportunity to cross the snow mountain. And only after crossing the snow mountain could they enter the dungeon. When Xiaoming came here, he found that a copy of the Great Snow Mountain dungeon had already been opened. That is to say, before he arrived, the players of the hostile forces had gathered enough people. Fortunately, they have not completed the dungeon yet. I don't know how these players crossed the snow mountain. Could it be that several martial arts masters were dispatched for this? It's unlikely. There are many reincarnations who know martial arts on Pangu Star. In the early days, many reincarnations learned some martial arts moves. But there are not many pure martial arts masters. After all, the upper limit of martial arts is not high. Generally, when they reach a certain level, they will turn to spiritual power, use martial arts to enter the Tao, and change to cultivating immortals. It is not appropriate to practice martial arts only. After all, in the reincarnation space, there are too many ways to strengthen, and there is no need to hang on a tree. Moreover, in the high-level martial arts world, such as the world of Fenjianzai and Batiangxia, the martial arts here are actually spiritual martial arts. Otherwise, they would not be so powerful. So it is not easy to find a group of ready-made martial arts masters to be players. Then there should be another possibility. They exerted the subjective initiative of the players and climbed over the snow mountain by some means of climbing. Xiaoming had to hurry up, in case the other party cleared the dungeon first, the situation would not be in seconds. Now Xiaoming has not learned any advanced light skills, but relying on the super strong true qi, climbing a snow mountain is not a problem. Just after crossing the ridge of the snow mountain, the system gave a prompt. Player Zhang Xiaoming is qualified to open the Great Snow Mountain dungeon. Since there are already 3 players in line before you, the 4 of you will attack this dungeon together. Do you want to open it immediately? Haha, Xiaoming understood as soon as he heard it. The 3 players in line in front must be players arranged by the enemy forces of the Shen family. If you open the dungeon with them, they will definitely make trouble. It doesn't matter, just see what kind of characters they are. The 3 players who opened the dungeon with Xiaoming were also confused. Before waiting for the dungeon to open, these players who have already queued will be gathered by the system in a place similar to a lounge. If you want, you can practice martial arts here and discuss strategies and tactics. It is not allowed to go out without permission unless the player voluntarily gives up this dungeon. The 3 people were bored and were sitting in the lounge playing Go Bang. 2 people were playing chess, and 1 was making trouble on the side. Suddenly the system prompted that the dungeon met the conditions for opening. The 3 of them were stunned. Why did the Great Snow Mountain dungeon open so soon? Didn't the system say that it would take 17 people to open it? In fact, their forces do not have the manpower to open the Snow Mountain dungeon for the second time. The 3 of them are here to make trouble for those who come later. As long as they hold on for a while, their other wave of manpower will be able to get the first pass of the dungeon. I heard that the group of people outside who are responsible for intercepting the opponent did a good job. It is basically unlikely that new people will come. If it weren't for the strict order from the leaders above, the 3 of them might have already quit the dungeon. The leader is indeed wise, and the opponent really broke through. The 3 of them are ready to disrupt the opponent's actions. The Snow Mountain dungeon officially begins. This is a huge valley covered with heavy snow, and the 4 players are on the top of the mountain. And they are all scattered. The snow reflects the dazzling white light, so that the 3 opponents can't see the surrounding environment at all. Yu Xiaoming is naturally unobstructed. The place where the Blood Knife Ancestor and the Southern 4 Wonders fought is halfway up the mountain and at the bottom of the valley. The players need to break through first. At this time, it is not the human NPCs who are responsible for blocking the players. It is the bad weather and terrain, as well as some creatures that appear in the snow-capped mountains. Several enemy players wanted to shout. It would be best if they could coerce or bribe their opponents not to play the dungeon, but if that didn't work, they could delay the game. Unexpectedly, the environment in which the players first appeared was too bad. Not to mention Xiaoming, the 3 of them couldn't see each other because they were too far away. In such a windy weather, no one could hear the shouting. The three of them were trying to move forward, and no one paid attention to Xiaoming. Xiaoming had deep internal strength and amazing eyesight, so he could see the surrounding environment clearly. In addition to the players, he also saw 4 people walking on the cliffs with weapons, and their martial arts were really good. These people must be the 4 masters of the Southern 4 Wonders, Falling Flowers and Flowing Water. According to the original work, the first person to fight with the Blood Knife Monk was Soft Cloud Sword Lu Changfeng. He ranked 3rd and was good at Tai Chi swordsmanship. Lu Changfeng's martial arts were not inferior to the Blood Knife Patriarch, but because his second brother Zhongping Invincible Hua Taigan was too utilitarian, he suddenly attacked. As a result, he failed to injure the Blood Knife Patriarch, but accidentally stabbed Lu Changfeng to death. His death was very unjust, and Xiaoming still wanted to save him. In fact, among the 4 wonders of the south, except for Hua Taigan, the other 3 have decent personalities and can be regarded as chivalrous men. What should I say about Hua Taigan? Before the battle in the Great Snow Mountain, Hua Taigan was famous for his chivalry, and he probably didn't do anything too bad. After all, there are several brothers watching. For the sake of reputation and face, he will not make mistakes casually. The cost of crime is too high. In the original work, because the other 3 brothers died, when his life was at stake, the meanness in his heart took the lead. He kowtowed to the Blood Knife Patriarch and Di Yun successively, and even betrayed Shui Sheng, the daughter of his 4th brother Cold Moon Sword Shui Dai. His character has fallen into the abyss and he is unwilling to look back. Xiaoming now has some power in the underworld and can see the lives of many people. There are actually many people like Hua Taigan. If such people are under great external pressure, they will fall in the direction of evil. However, many of them have never been under such great pressure, but have been ordinary people all their lives. Not to mention that they don't have the courage to do anything bad. If they are praised by others, they may do some good things, and may even end up as a good person in this life. So Xiaoming's original intention is to save all 4 people, including Hua Taigan. At least so far, Hua Taigan has probably done more good things, so his crime is not punishable by death. Of course, Xiaoming will definitely treat them differently. He will try his best to rescue the other people, but it depends on his luck as to what Hua Taigan can do. As an important character in the plot, and he did not die here in the original novel, the system should try its best to save his life. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1133. Snow leopards, large feline carnivores, usually live in the snowy areas of high-altitude mountains, hence their name. Its fur is grayish-white with black spots and black rings, and its tail is long and thick, which looks very good, and it is known as the King of Snow Mountains. The game system has spawned many snow leopards on the cliffs of the valley to block the player's path. As the saying goes, a strong dragon cannot suppress a local snake. On the snow-covered cliffs, the snow leopard is a powerful local snake. Its combat effectiveness is no less than that of a martial arts master. The 3 people of the enemy force have average martial arts, insufficient manpower, and insufficient preparation. Soon, they all fell into the dilemma of fighting with several snow leopards. Xiaoming is not a fierce dragon that cannot cross the river. Because of his highest martial arts, the system arranged more than 10 snow leopards to besiege him. There are several waves of similar forces on the road ahead. But on the snow, Xiaoming can easily obtain hidden weapons. Just grab a handful of snow and use internal strength to pinch it to make a hard snowball, block. Throwing it out, each snow leopard screamed, knowing that the person in front of him was not easy to mess with. After a few more hits that met the system conditions, all of them were leopards. Xiaoming's footsteps did not slow down at all, and he chased the man holding the sword at the fastest speed. After rushing, he finally caught up in time. Soft Cloud Sword Lu Changfeng was waving his sword and fighting with the Blood Knife Ancestor. The sword light and shadow flashed, and the fight was very beautiful. The name of this soft cloud sword is very similar to Lu Changfeng. Not only the name is exactly the same, but even the surname is very similar. A while ago, Xiao Ming just helped Lu Changfeng in the secret realm of the Legend of the Condor Heroes. Now he has come to the secret realm of Lian Chengju to save Lu Changfeng's life. Thinking about it, it feels that things are quite coincidental. On the cliff, the Blood Knife Ancestor used his strength to compete with Lu Changfeng, constantly strengthening his internal force attack. Lu Changfeng is a famous Tai Chi master, good at using softness to overcome hardness, and his defense is very comprehensive. No matter how fiercely the Blood Knife Ancestor attacked, he could always remain invincible. The two were evenly matched and fought fiercely, so Hua Taigan, the Zhongping Invincible, quietly came over. He touched the back of the Blood Knife Ancestor and attacked him. He used the killing move of the Zhongping Spear, 4 barbarians submitted, to stab the Blood Knife Monk with all his strength, intending to kill him with one shot. Unexpectedly, at this critical moment, the Blood Knife Ancestor actually rushed out and fell off the cliff. Hua Taigan's spear could not be stopped and was about to stab Lu Changfeng's chest. Suddenly, a large piece of stones shot down from above, and 7 or 8 of them hit the gun body with amazing force. Xiao Ming has always kept a lot of stones on his body. When he fought the snow leopard just now, he used freshly made snowballs and did not use the stock just to use them at this time. Hua Taigan also reacted quickly, and tried to move the steel gun in his hand along the force of the stones, deviating by about a foot. The shot pierced Lu Changfeng's inner thigh and seemed to have scratched his leg bone, and blood gushed out immediately. Lu Changfeng screamed in pain. His hands and feet were weak, but fortunately the force of the shot was biased towards the inside of the cliff, so Lu Changfeng did not fall off the cliff. At this moment, Hua Taigan did not dare to draw out the big gun immediately, and hurried forward to support the third brother. He pressed acupoints to stop the bleeding. At this time, Xiao Ming also came down to help. This latest wound is easy for Xiao Ming to deal with. While injecting the Changsheng Ju Qi into Lu Changfeng, he checked the injury. With the help of the Changsheng Ju Qi, Lu Changfeng did not faint immediately, and his complexion was actually okay. Fortunately, the shot did not pierce the aorta, otherwise it would be more troublesome. The 3 of them are masters, and Lu Changfeng and Hua Taigan are also familiar with treating injuries, and are more skilled than Xiao Ming. They simply treated it and basically stabilized the injury. Next, Xiao Ming's help is not needed. After saving Lu Changfeng's life and treating his injuries, Hua Taigan and Lu Changfeng had time to thank Xiao Ming. "Thank you for your help, senior. May I ask your name and what school you are from?" At such a distance, he was able to use a few stones to deflect his full-strength shot by more than a foot. Hua Taigan knew that this man's martial arts was far superior to his own. Lu Changfeng knew even better, because Xiao Ming had injected some Changsheng Ju Qi into him in order to save his life. He personally experienced that the Qi was magnificent and endless. And it was quite in line with the Taoist mind method. He felt Xiao Ming's strength much more deeply than Hua Taigan. Therefore, although Xiao Ming only had the appearance of a young man, the two did not dare to be rude at all, and actually called him a senior. This also made sense. Generally, people with such kung fu at a young age are the close disciples secretly taught by a reclusive martial arts master. It is very likely that they are of a very high generation. I don't deserve it. I'm Zhang Xiaoming, a disciple of the Changsheng section. Hello, 2 seniors. On the cliff, it was inconvenient to clasp his fists and salute, so Xiaoming saluted with one hand, reported his real name, but made up a non-existent sect. Who knows if there will be a beggar gang in this secret realm? It's not appropriate to report the identity of the beggar gang elder in the legend of the Condor heroes, so Xiaoming casually named his sect with the Changshengju. Although Hua Taigan said I've heard of you for a long time, I've heard of you for a long time, he was actually confused. He had never heard of the Changsheng sect. Glancing at his third brother, he saw that Lu Changfeng was also full of doubts, and it was clear that he had never heard of the name of the Changsheng sect. Xiaoming didn't explain much, and said, the situation is urgent. I will go to help Senior Lu and Senior Shui deal with the evil thieves immediately. Please take good care of Senior Lu, Senior Hua. Hua and Lu nodded in agreement. The Blood Knife Patriarch was very skilled in martial arts and was extremely cunning. They were indeed worried about the safety of their eldest and fourth brothers. Zhang Xiaoming was so skilled in martial arts that it would be best if he was willing to help. Even if Xiaoming didn't say anything, they would probably ask for help after a few words. Seeing Zhang Xiaoming take the initiative to take on this matter, they all felt that this man was not only skilled in martial arts, but also had a strong sense of justice, which was really admirable. Especially Hua Taigan, who almost stabbed his own brother to death before, and felt very guilty. Fortunately, God bless this hero Zhang to take action in time and prevent this tragedy of fratricide. Since the person is not dead, Hua Taigan will naturally do his best to take care of the third brother, and he will probably owe this favor to the third brother in the future. At this time, if Xiaoming didn't show up, Hua Taigan's choice would be hard to say. It can be said that he is standing at a fork in the road, one thought to heaven, one thought to hell. Even if he was so evil that he killed his third brother and put the blame on the Blood Knife ancestor, it was not impossible. But since Zhang Xiaoming was a witness, he could not kill him to silence him. It would be easier for Hua Taigan to kill Zhang Xiaoming, who was so skilled in martial arts, than to kill himself. This evil intention had no chance of bubbling up. So Hua Taigan's full of guilt turned into meticulous care for his third brother. Lu Changfeng was a Tai Chi master and had a pretty good character. It was common for people in the martial arts world to accidentally hurt their own people when fighting. He did not blame his second brother for this, but comforted him and made Hua Taigan feel at ease. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1134. When Xiaoming came down the mountain, he saw the 5 people from both sides confronting each other. On the high cliff were the leader of the 4 wonders of the south, Renai Lu Dadeo Lu Tianchu, and the 4th, Cold Moon Sword Shui Dai. There was a huge rock below the cliff, which was located at the key point of the valley entrance. The Blood Knife Patriarch stood on the huge rock with his sword in hand. Di Yun and Shui Sheng were hiding behind the huge rock. If Lu and Shui jumped down from a high place, they would definitely pass by the huge rock. The Blood Knife Patriarch could easily cut the person in half with a casual knife. The 2 people's kung fu was similar to that of the Patriarch. They were in mid-air with nowhere to borrow strength, so they were naturally no match for him. The 2 of them were discussing what to do. At this time, Xiaoming climbed down the cliff and came to them. Lu Tianchu felt very strange. Where were his other 2 brothers? Who was this young man who didn't know him at all? Xiaoming quickly explained the situation of Hua Taigan and Lu Changfeng. He said that he came to help. Lu Tianchu and Shui Dai were slightly suspicious. They knew almost all the people in the martial arts world who were traveling with them, but they had never seen this young man. Naturally, they couldn't believe it. Could it be that this person was an accomplice of the Blood Knife monk, who had harmed the 2 brothers Hua and Lu, and came here to deceive them? Facing the suspicious eyes of the 2, Xiaoming pointed at Hua Taigan and Lu Changfeng and waved. The 2 people above were also paying attention to the situation below. Seeing Zhang Xiaoming waving, they also waved in greeting. Lu Shui and the others dispelled their doubts. They explained the current situation in detail. It seemed that they planned to split up and take a detour. Xiao Ming knew that the blood knife ancestor was cunning and very familiar with the fighting methods of the snowy mountain terrain. If he didn't defend this place and ran away, setting traps along the way, it would be troublesome. Not to mention the four wonders of the south, even if he was not careful, he would be easily tricked. You can't use the circle to scout in the martial arts planet. The only way is to take advantage of him still wanting to defend this place and solve the blood knife ancestor in one fell swoop. So Xiao Ming said, "Two seniors, that evil monk is full of tricks and must be dealt with as soon as possible. I will go down first, and you two will follow. The evil monk can only deal with me first, and you two will definitely be able to deal with him." In fact, Lu Shui and the others had thought of using one person to lure them first, but our strength is obviously stronger, and it is not worthwhile to add lives. This young man Zhang Xiaoming actually volunteered, and the two of them admired him in their hearts, but they also hurriedly spoke out to stop him. "How can you let irrelevant people sacrifice?" Xiaoming said no more, and pounced down from a high place, directly attacking the blood knife ancestor. Seeing that they could not stop him, Lu Shui and the others also jumped down in a hurry, not to waste Zhang's kindness in vain. The blood knife ancestor was also surprised to see a young man coming, and was secretly on guard in his heart. He is not in a good condition now. He has just competed with Lu Changfeng for a long time, and his internal strength has been exhausted. In order to avoid Hua Taigan's sneak attack, he risked jumping down from a height, hitting the rock with his knife, and relying on his arm strength to eliminate the momentum of falling. In fact, his body suffered a lot of internal injuries. Now he only felt a dull pain in his dantian, and he couldn't raise his internal strength for a while. Just when he wanted to take this opportunity to adjust his internal breath, he didn't expect that this new boy was so fearless that he jumped down from a height and rushed straight towards him. "It's okay for him, I will definitely be able to kill him with a knife. But I'm afraid that Lu Tianshu and Shui Dai who jumped down with him can't deal with it." The blood knife patriarch secretly regretted that he shouldn't stay here. Unfortunately, it's too late to escape now, so he killed this kid first and then make plans. It happened so fast, just when the ancestor drew his knife and wanted to kill someone. Suddenly, Zhang Xiaoming used his internal strength and shouted loudly, using the off-tune song of the rising tide of the sea, which shocked the blood knife patriarch's mind instantly. The ancestor never thought that this young man's internal strength was so powerful and profound, much higher than his own. It didn't matter for a moment, and the mind lost the two of them for a moment. Not to mention the blood knife ancestor, even Lu Shui and the two who jumped down together were also frightened by Xiao Ming's shout. Fortunately, they were behind Xiao Ming and were not hit by the sound waves head-on. After a little breath adjustment, they recovered. If the blood knife ancestor was still in a full blood state, he would not be so embarrassed by the sneak attack. It's just that he had a fierce battle with Lu Changfeng just now, and his internal strength was exhausted, so now it's difficult to protect his mind. However, the blood knife ancestor is also extraordinary. He bit his tongue hard and woke up immediately. Just when he wanted to swing his knife to fight back, he saw a large piece of stone smashing down on his head. The ancestor hurriedly waved his sword to block, but it was a pity that he was too hasty to attack, so he only had time to protect his head and chest and abdomen. His left arm and legs were hit by stones and he immediately fell on the huge rock. Blood gushed out from the wounded area. Xiao Ming's body happened to fall down, and he stepped out with one foot, using the force of falling to break the chest of the blood knife ancestor. In a flash, a master of a generation died. The difference between the blood knife ancestor and Zhang Xiaoming in martial arts is the difference between Mei Chaofeng and Hong Qigong. Normally, they would have to fight for a while before being killed by Xiaoming. This time, the ancestor took advantage of the terrain again. If it weren't for Xiaoming's surprise victory, the result is still unknown. I believe he must die with regrets. First of all, the blood knife ancestor suffered from the loss of intelligence. Knowing yourself and the enemy, you can fight 100 battles without danger. Jiang Xiaoming knew him very well, but he didn't know that Jiang Xiaoming was a top master whose internal strength far exceeded his. Based on this intelligence gap alone, the blood knife monk had already stepped half a foot into the coffin. Moreover, at this time, he was still in a state of exhaustion from the battle and unstable internal breath. Otherwise, even if Xiaoming attacked him with a roar, he would not lose his mind for a moment and lose his life. The blood knife patriarch had done many evil things, and Xiaoming had no sympathy or respect for him, although killing him like this was actually taking advantage of someone's misfortune. But Xiaoming didn't care. Such a person was not qualified to fight him fairly. The blood knife monk was dead, and Lu Tianchi saw De Yun, and he was furious, waving his sword to kill him. Shui Dai rushed forward to save his daughter. At this time, De Yun was no match for the two, and his leg bones were broken, so he couldn't even run away. De Yun had suffered so much unfair treatment along the way just because he wore the clothes of the monk Baoxiang. At this time, the blood knife patriarch was dead, and the other party's martial arts were far beyond imagination, but he was powerless to escape. Seeing Lu Tianchi's sword slashing at him, De Yun was completely desperate and closed his eyes waiting to die. He actually had no hope in this life. At this moment, someone shouted, "Don't kill him." Then he heard a sound of metal clashing, and a knife blew past his head. He was not dead. De Yun opened his eyes and saw that the young man who had just trampled the blood knife patriarch to death was standing beside him, protecting him. Lu Tianchi's big knife must have been knocked off course by the flying stone. For a moment, several people at the scene were stunned. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1135. Lu Tianchu is the leader of the Four Wonders of the South, and is known as Renai Lu Dadao in the Jianghu. He has a fiery temper and hates immoral and despicable behavior the most. At this time, he thought De Yun was the disciple of the blood knife patriarch and had done all kinds of bad things. Naturally, he wanted to kill him as soon as possible. Unexpectedly, he was stopped by Jiang Xiaoming. Even though he knew that this man's martial arts was far better than his own, Lu Tianchi still glared at him, not afraid at all, and shouted loudly. "Young man Jiang. This lecherous monk is the disciple of the blood knife monk, and he has done many evil things. Why did you save him? Did you get deceived by him?" He only said that Jiang Xiaoming was deceived by De Yun, and did not say that he was shielding or colluding with him. This was already trying his best to say something nice. But his saliva was almost sprayed on Jiang Xiaoming, and from his tone, it was very obvious that he was dissatisfied with Jiang Xiaoming. If it weren't for the fact that young Master Jiang had just risked his life to kill the blood knife ancestor, he wouldn't have given Jiang Xiaoming a way out. Shui Dai, the cold moon sword who had saved his daughter at this time, felt that his elder brother's tone was too aggressive. If young Master Jiang was really annoyed, the Four Southern Wonders together would not be his opponent. Besides, since young Master Jiang did this, he naturally had his reasons. "Can't we talk it out nicely? Don't provoke the anger of the young man." He quickly turned his eyes to look at Jiang Xiaoming's face. If the other party showed an angry look, he would have to find a way to make up for it. Unexpectedly, Xiaoming's face was not only not angry, but he admired his elder brother very much, and even felt like a younger brother looking at his older brother. Shui Dai suddenly felt that his brain was not enough. WTF? Could it be that young Master Jiang liked to be scolded? Well, Shui Dai certainly didn't know English, that's how he felt. He didn't know that Jiang Xiaoming's mental age was already over 70. He had long lost the youthful vigor. Xiaoming was not angry at all. When he saw Lu Tianchu, he thought of Cajun Wu, the eldest brother of the Jiangnan Seven Freaks in the secret realm of the legend of the Condor heroes, who also had such a hot temper. He met some similar people in the untold story, so he couldn't help but love the whole family. Even if Lu Tianxia spit on his face, he didn't feel disgusted at all. In fact, Xiao Ming admired such people who were brave and could not bend in spite of their might. There are too many people in the world who are prudent and self-protective, including himself. Xiao Ming still appreciates people who have qualities that he lacks. Several people first escorted Hua Taigan and the seriously injured Lu Changfeng down, and found a cave to rest and heal their wounds. Then, Xiao Ming told Di Yun's life one by one. Di Yun is almost the most tragic protagonist in Jin De Da's writing. First, Di Yun worshipped a master with ulterior motives, and the martial arts he taught were all false and flawed moves. Fortunately, he had a junior sister who was his childhood sweetheart. Unexpectedly, because Wang Gui plotted against Di Yun's junior sister, the father and son of the Wan family framed him for defiling a woman and put him in jail. He had 5 fingers on his right hand cut off and his scapula pierced by an iron chain. Di Yun met Ding Dian in prison. Later, when he learned that his junior sister had married Wang Gui, he chose to commit suicide in despair of life and was saved by Ding Dian. The two became friends in need. Ding Dian taught him the Shen Zhao Jing and gave him a Wu Ken Yi. This was considered an encounter. However, Di Yun's martial arts were not very good at that time. Unexpectedly, Ding Dian died soon after. Before he died, he told him the secret of Lian Changju. After escaping, Di Yun was helpless again and wandered around the world. He was almost eaten by Bao Xiang, a disciple of the Blood Knife Patriarch. With good luck, he poisoned Bao Xiang to death. Later, because he was naked, he had to wear Bao Xiang's monk robe. As a result, he was mistaken for a bad monk of the Blood Knife sect and everyone wanted to kill him. The Bell Sword Twins also broke his legs. The Bell Sword Twins are the nicknames of Shui Sheng and Wang Xiaofeng. Only the Blood Knife Patriarch mistook him for his disciple and treated him relatively well. But that was all. Once his true identity was discovered, he would be killed. In order to save his life, Di Yun had to pretend to be nice to the Blood Knife Patriarch. If it weren't for his best efforts, how could Shui Sheng keep her chastity? Of course, Xiao Ming couldn't say such a thing in too much detail. The secrets of the divine illuminating scripture, the black silk clothes, and the Lian Changju can all arouse people's greed. Xiao Ming skipped them. Even the real names of Wan Zhenchan and his son, Ling's Hifu, Ding Dian, and Di Yun were hidden. Never underestimate the intelligence capabilities of the 4 wonders of the south. These words touched Di Yun's heart and he burst into tears. Finally, someone understood him, making him feel like brother Ding Dian was reincarnated. Among the 5 people on the other side, Shui Sheng originally hated Di Yun the most, but she was also the softest-hearted one among them. She only heard half of Xiao Ming's story, and she burst into tears because of her sympathy. Thinking that it was she who rode the horse and broke Di Yun's leg, she felt extremely guilty. She looked at Di Yun with a very gentle look. The 4 southern wonders are now considered chivalrous people. After listening to Xiao Ming's story, they also felt full of sympathy for Di Yun. The suffering of this person's life is really sigh-worthy. Although Lu Tianxia still has some complaints about Di Yun not fighting against the Blood Knife Patriarch. However, after listening to other people's experiences, he found that Di Yun was not a person in the martial arts world at all. He was either staying in his hometown or living in prison. He had almost never ventured into the martial arts world, and his master was still a person with ulterior motives. It is not appropriate to use the rules of the martial arts world to restrain Di Yun. Besides, the other person's life experience is so miserable, and yet she still makes excessive demands on him. Even if Lu Tianxia is as angry as fire, he can't say this. As for whether young master Zhang Xiaoming would make up a lie to deceive himself and others, the 4 Nankai knew that it was unlikely. With Zhang Xiaoming's high martial arts skills, it was not worth it to deceive them. And later, Di Yun's heart-wrenching look made them no longer doubt it. Shui Dai immediately expressed his gratitude to young Master Di for trying his best to deal with and protect his daughter's innocence. He also took the initiative to invite Di Yun to visit his house. Hua Taigan was smart and knew that Di Yun was not outstanding. It was enough for everyone to compensate him, but there was no need to be too attentive. However, young Master Zhang knew Di Yun so well and took the initiative to help him clear his name. This shows that this person has a close relationship with young Master Zhang. Inviting Di Yun can also invite Zhang Xiaoming. It is absolutely beneficial to be able to establish a relationship with such a high martial arts person. It can also show the noble character of our four Nankai who can correct their mistakes and be bright and clear. Why not do it? So he also joined in. In fact, Shui Dai didn't think so much, he just wanted to make up for the harm caused by his daughter, and also wanted to thank Di Yun for taking care of his daughter. Zhang Xiaoming was Lu Changfeng's lifesaver, so Lu Changfeng naturally invited him warmly. Lu Tianshu admired Zhang Xiaoming very much and also strongly agreed. He even looked like, if you don't agree, I will turn against you. Di Yun has experienced the warmth and coldness of human nature, and he doesn't care much about Nan Saiki's invitation. He only looked at Zhang Xiaoming, waiting for him to make a decision. This is the person who changed his destiny. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1136. A system prompt came from my ear. Congratulations to player Zhang Xiaoming for completing the first clearance of the Snow Mountain dungeon. The original plot has been greatly changed, and the results are extremely outstanding. Reward 1, 10 years of Changshengju internal force. Reward 2, you can choose 2 from 5 martial arts secrets. The reward for internal force can only be said to be okay, not very practical. Because it is not Xiaoming himself who has increased internal force, but Xiaoming's character in the secret realm. The internal force that players can use in the game includes their own and the game characters. And most players are much more powerful than themselves in the game. Only Xiaoming and a few other players are exceptions. For example, the reincarnation who knows martial arts. Zhang Xiaoming should be the best among them. He has been using the ability outside the game to stick to it, commonly known as cheating. The second reward, martial arts secrets, is actually similar to the reward for internal force. The secret book is not fake. Players can indeed practice real kung fu according to the secret book, but few people can do it. First of all, practicing martial arts requires a certain amount of internal strength. This is not bad. Some players have received rewards for internal strength, but most players' characters do not have enough internal strength even if they have it. Secondly, the player's martial arts talent is also a limitation. It is not something that ordinary people can do to practice martial arts by reading secret books. If you are not careful, you will go astray. Even if the player can understand the secret book, he cannot practice it, so many people choose to use the secret book directly to let the character automatically learn martial arts. Then in the game, through the frequent use of this martial arts by the character, the player himself will get used to it. After arriving at the Wolf 359 Galaxy, you will find that you seem to have learned it when you leave the game cabin. At least you can use part of it skillfully. This also includes internal strength, and long-term feeling of the true qi circulation in the character's body will automatically drive the circulation of the true qi in the player's body. Unconsciously, you can practice internal strength. As long as you play the game normally, most players will gain some superficial internal strength and simple martial arts moves. This is already very good. In the process of exploring unknown planets, knowing a little internal strength and martial arts will definitely be of great help. At least it greatly enhanced the physique of interstellar immigrants and improved their survivability. This is the purpose of Shen'an plan to use the martial arts planet game. Massively improve the physical fitness and reaction ability of members. When it comes to Xiaoming, who is already close to S-level masters, the situation will definitely be different. He can look at the secret book and practice the martial arts in it. A+ level masters are driven to obsession by internal skills that are less than C level. What an international joke. Blood Sword Sutra, Lu's sword skills, Zhongping spear skills, Tai Chi sword skills, Shui family sword skills. Xiaoming can choose 2 books from these 5 secret books. The sword skills of the old Lu Tianzhu and the sword skills of the 4th Shui Dai were not named in the original book. The system had to name them after the characters. As for creating martial arts that meet the characteristics, it is not difficult for the game system at all. As expected, Xiaoming chose Blood Sword Sutra and Tai Chi sword skills. Tai Chi sword skills are famous and can be used in many secret realms. The Blood Sword scripture contains both internal strength and swordsmanship, which is even more valuable. Xiaoming will learn swordsmanship by himself, but he doesn't need to learn internal strength, which can't be better than the Changshengju. After learning, or memorizing, Xiaoming will copy these 2 basic secrets. Give them to the insect humans to learn. Xiaoming should be more cautious about the veterans brought by Zhu Xingxiu. After all, the blood sword scripture is an evil martial art. Xiaoming is worried that it will affect those soldiers and make them crazy and bloodthirsty, which will be troublesome. Tai Chi swordsmanship requires too high a mind, and it is estimated that people who are not calm and stable can't learn it. Veterans are obviously not suitable, and forcing them to learn may have negative effects. It's better to be careful. Then Xiaoming doesn't worry that the insect humans will be affected in the same way. How is it possible? What level of existence are the insect humans? Martial arts may have an impact on them, but the impact will never be too great, and it is even more impossible to overshadow Xiaoming, the leader of the insect king. Sprinkle some water. However, Xiaoming's priority is not to study martial arts, but to find a way to leave the snow mountain. De Yun, who had achieved great success in his internal strength in the later period, as well as Hua Taigan and Shui Sheng, were trapped in the valley for more than half a year, and were able to leave only after the snow melted in the spring of the following year. If Xiaoming was trapped here for half a year, it would be miserable. And this is also his own fault, and he must bear it. Why do you say that? Because this is a game. The system is not set according to time. I really can't wait. Think about it, the 7 freaks of Jiangnan lived in the desert for 18 years, so do the players have to wait for 18 years? People are old, okay. So the game system has other settings. The system divides the main storyline into many copies, and each copy has a prerequisite. When the player meets the conditions, the copy will be opened. The interval between copies depends on the speed of the player's character's progress. When the conditions are met, the copy will be opened. It may be that 10 years will pass in the blink of an eye, or it may be that a few hours will be stretched to several months. In this regard, Xiaoming has had enough experience in the secret realm of the legend of the Condor heroes. The 18 years in the desert were basically like days. Of course, because he replaced the plot character Nanziren, the system did not prompt him that he was in a dungeon. He had to guess on his own. And even if you pass the dungeon, you won't get any system rewards. After all, the game mode that replaces the plot characters has already taken a big advantage for players, so where can there be any rewards? Xiaoming just passed the Great Snow Mountain dungeon for the first time, and the main plot was turned upside down. Hua Taigan did not degenerate into a bad guy, and the other 3 heroes did not die. De Yun was also recognized by the Southern Four Wonders and Shui Sheng. I'm afraid the system doesn't know what to do next. Xiaoming guessed that the system would probably find a way to correct the plot. Take advantage of the harsh environment of the Snow Mountain to see if Lu Tianzhu, Lu Changfeng, and Shui Dai can be killed. At the same time, let Hua Taigan turn evil so that the plot can return to the original main line again. It's a test for players who change the plot. If Xiao Ming can withstand this test and keep the results of his plot change, then the system will also recognize the changes he made and continue to develop accordingly. Xiao Ming encountered this kind of thing in the secret realm of the legend of the Condor heroes, and he just withstood it with his own strong martial arts. For example, Xiao Ming successfully saved Zhang Ashen's life, so the system naturally let him marry Han Xiaoying and gave birth to a daughter. Very respectful. Therefore, the main plot of the legend of the Condor heroes has been changed beyond recognition by Xiao Ming. Fortunately, the villain Wang Feng is still there, and there will be some fierce battles to fight in the future. In comparison, the plot of the untold story is relatively easy to handle, and Xiao Ming is full of confidence. I hope he won't let me down. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1137. Has already received the first pass reward for the Snow Mountain Dungeon. According to the storyline of Lian Chengju, there will probably be no dungeons with good rewards for a long time. I'm afraid that only in the final stage will there be a decent reward. The most urgent matter for the Xian family is now settled. If they can't get the first pass of this dungeon, the next step for the enemies of the Xian family will become very troublesome. Because it will take some time to push the main plot of Lian Chengju to the finale. During this time, those who messed with them, that is, the veterans and insect people under Xiao Ming, will definitely catch up. It is definitely a hell-level task to get the best reward in the finale dungeon. In this way, the advantages they have accumulated in Lian Chengju will not work. Xiao Ming guessed that they would probably completely disperse their forces next, transport personnel to the 5 improved secret realms, or even rush to the ultimate secret realm to make trouble everywhere. Anyway, the Xian family obviously knows what they have done now, and the enemy is not worried about being exposed, so they can completely let go of the confrontation. Fight for various resources, destroy the game environment, and try to corrupt the hearts of the immigrants on the Sheneng. If the hearts of the people are scattered, it will be difficult for the Xian family to do this immigration work. Who exactly is this hostile force? Why do they have such a big grudge against the Xian family? Xiao Ming doesn't know. Or they are simply jealous and don't like the fact that the Xian family has obtained a planet. They want to make trouble. Xian Ku probably knows these situations in his heart, but he didn't tell Xiao Ming in detail. This is also a secret of the Xian family. Once their personnel are dispersed, we don't know which secret realm they will focus on. It is difficult to block all the other parties' ways. But Xiao Ming is not worried. Because time is actually on his side. As more and more insect humans enter the martial arts planet game, our forces will become stronger and stronger, and we can completely defend every secret realm. In addition, some monsters in the private world Yu Yu Hakusho have begun to join Xiao Ming, and some of them have also joined in to play games. Xiao Ming's power is getting stronger and stronger. The enemy may only cause greater damage in the short term, and in the long run, it must be stronger. It may even surpass the local Snake Xian family and become the overlord in the martial arts planet game. I wonder if the Xian family has considered this possibility. Xiao Ming also made corresponding arrangements for the enemy's next move. The intelligence work was handed over to the veterans group led by Zhu Xingxiu. They were divided into groups and dispersed into 5 secret realms to collect intelligence and detect the enemy's movements. The insect humans and monsters are the real main force of our side. They are mainly responsible for enhancing the strength of the characters and attacking the plot dungeons. Xiao Ming quickly conveyed this matter through the 7 Yao Shadow clone, and also handed over the copied martial arts secrets to the insect humans. I really want to see what kind of funny effect the insect humans will have when using martial arts. At present, Xiao Ming faces a difficult choice, the legend of the Condor heroes and the untold story, Which one should he deal with first? Both secret realms are in the stage between dungeons, and there are also some important things. The main plot has undergone major changes, and the system may be adjusted, so you need to be careful. For example, in the Lianchengju secret realm, the system may cause trouble, kill the 3 heroes who survived by chance, and let Hua Taigan turn evil. In the Legend of the Condor Heroes secret realm, we should also pay attention to the fact that Yankong may turn evil and rebel at any time, and there is also the matter of the 9 Yin manual that needs to be dealt with. If I don't go back, maybe Zukong will pick up the 9 Yin manual at some point, and then be taken away by the silly boy Guozheng. Xiaoming pondered for a while and felt that the matter on the Lianchengju side was more dangerous. After all, I have been running the Legend of the Condor Heroes secret realm for a long time, and the martial arts of the 7 freaks of Jiangnan are really good. 1 Hongqigong adds 6 Chu Chuji, it is not easy to get into danger. Even if Yankong turns evil, it is not a big deal, and the 9 Yin manual is not so attractive to me either. For Xiaoming, is the martial arts in the manual important? Not necessarily. On the contrary, the Lianchengju secret realm is more dangerous, and Xiaoming really wants to save the lives of Lu Tianchu, Lu Chengfeng, and Shui Dai. As for whether Hua Taigan will turn evil, Xiaoming doesn't care. The same is true of his attitude towards Yankong. He really hopes that Yankong and Hua Taigan can be good people, even if it is because of fear. In fact, most people abide by the law because the cost of committing crimes is too high. Xiaoming will not force people to do this. Of course, if they must turn evil, Xiaoming does not mind killing them. Xiaoming is a ghost messenger, not a bodhisattva. He does not have so much compassion. Since seeing the martial arts planet game, Xiaoming has read Jin Dada's book several times in order to play the game. Especially the secret realm that is being promoted. Although I have read it many times before, it is the kind of reading method that does not seek to understand it thoroughly. And I always pick the places I like to read, and I can't remember other details. This is not surprising at all. I think that Xiaoming read the Romance of the 3 Kingdoms seriously because he was attracted by the 3 Kingdoms game. Therefore, on the way here, Xiaoming prepared a lot of things that might be useful for his character. For example, this time he must be trapped in the valley. If he wants to cross the mountains and ridges to get out, martial arts alone is not enough. You have to know that De Yun's internal strength is now very advanced, and he is probably only slightly inferior to Xiaoming. But even so, he can't leave the valley. If he can't get out, Xiaoming probably can't get out either. Therefore, Xiaoming prepared several pairs of flying claws, several long and strong ropes, and iron chisels and hammers. In addition, he was worried that the system would play tricks. Even with the preparations, he still couldn't get out of the valley, so he needed to solve the problem of eating for several people. Without food, Hua Taigan would definitely turn evil. Therefore, Xiaoming also prepared hunting tools such as bows and arrows and large nets, as well as flints and other items for making fire. It's hard for him to carry so many things with him. It's rare that Zhang Xiaoming has the same fighting power as Huang Yaoshi and Hong Qigong, but as a result, his body is bulging with things, which makes the peerless master lose face. Just kidding, it's not that bad. In the game, the system arranges storage space for players. It's just that the space is very small, probably just the things that the character can carry with him. With Xiaoming's strength, the storage space is slightly larger, and those things are not really hung on his body. It's embarrassing. In the game, if the player is in a hungry state, it will only cause the character's physical fitness to decline, and it will not really make the player starve to death. But it will starve the player's character to death. There are places to log off and log in again in this valley, but there is no resurrection point. If you die, you may not be able to come back. So these things are prepared for any eventuality. With these, you can leave the valley quickly when you enter, and you can live well in the valley when you retreat. After preparing to this extent, Xiaoming couldn't help but feel complacent, and finally looked like a professional player. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 1138. In the game Wuxia Planet, all the 14 secret realms written by Jin Dada should have players, so each secret realm is developing. The system's advancement of the timeline mainly depends on the martial arts level of the top players, whether they have reached the standard for opening the next dungeon. So except for the 3 starting secret realms, Lian Chengju, White Horse Roaring in the West Wind and Double-Edged Blade, it is estimated that the advancement of most other secret realms is still very slow. There is another exception, which should be the Tianlongbabu secret realm that the Shen family mainly attacks. I don't know where the Shen family has advanced to. This is one of the 6 ultimate secret realms, and players can't enter it for a while. There are also 5 improved secret realms, and a certain number of players have entered, but the attack speed is definitely not fast. Everything is still in the foundation laying stage. After all, in the original plan, the players on the spacecraft need to stay in the game warehouse for nearly 100 years. It's enough to practice to become a master. This is also the reason why the game warehouses of the 2 games are set up differently. The game warehouse of Magic Planet can be opened at any time, and players can come out at any time. But the game warehouse of Wuxia Planet can only be opened by a few people at will. Other interstellar immigrants, including 1,300 natural persons and 2,700 clones, all have their game cabins locked. Although the mind is playing games, the body is in a dormant state. Only in this way can one persist for 100 years and still be a strong laborer. In addition, the game system must also intervene in the spirit of all players. 100 years of gaming career is also a burden on the player's spirit. Different people can bear different degrees. Once some players show signs of collapse, the game system must respond. Erase part of the memory and reinstill part of the memory. This is one of the more effective methods. The New Han Kingdom has mastered some of these methods. According to the design of the Shannon plan, the speed of the Shannon 1 spacecraft is actually quite good. It took about 3 years to fly out of the Oort Nebula. It is currently about 1 light-year away from the Earth. But next, according to the original plan, the spacecraft should slow down. It will take nearly 100 years to reach the Wolf 359 galaxy at a slower speed. Because there are too many unknown areas in front of the spacecraft. Even a small piece of gravel is enough to destroy the Shannon 1 ship and kill people. The area within the Ultra Nebula is still our own courtyard in the solar system. The reconnaissance is also very clear. It is safe to fly fast. It is hard to say about the outside. The Shannon plan is not a suicide plan, and we dare not take the risk of driving a speedboat. Due to the improvement of the level of the New Han Kingdom in the field of space and the help of the reincarnation, the New Han Kingdom is relatively familiar with the area within the Ultra Nebula, but the grasp of the information of the universe outside the Ultra Nebula has dropped drastically. As the saying goes, if the technology is not enough, fantasy will make up for it. If the New Han Kingdom's technological means are insufficient, there will always be powerful enough masters among the reincarnations to provide help. However, such a powerful master is also subject to great restrictions. The main reason is the restriction from the reincarnation space. The New Han Kingdom is not qualified to obtain this information, and they are powerless. In fact, Xiaoming has long reached the level of strength that will be restricted by the reincarnation space. However, as the owner of the source energy and the owner of the infinite gems, the space treats him as a distinguished guest and it is impossible to restrict him. Fortunately, the New Han government did not know Zhang Xiaoming's special identity at the time. Otherwise, they would definitely find a way to make full use of it. Now that Xiaoming has become a ghost messenger, it is too late to use it. It is not that he does not want to, but he dares not. Back to the first draft of the Shannon plan, the Shannon 1 spacecraft should have slowed down according to the original plan and responded to unknown dangers at a slower speed. So the original plan was to take about 100 years to reach the Wolf 359 galaxy 7.7 light-years away. It's just that the plan did not change quickly. No one could have imagined that the executor of the Shannon plan, the head of the Shen family, the captain of the Shannon, Shen Ku, would be so bold. He took a huge risk and paid a huge price to replace the high-tech spacecraft Avalon from the reincarnation world of passengers to become the new Shannon. As a result, he was seriously injured and the entire Shannon plan was almost scrapped. Or Xiaoming was inspired because his parents were also threatened with life. So Huang Xiaoming's soul occupied his own copy on Shannon 2. This crisis was resolved. The details will not be repeated here. As the saying goes, misfortune often brings blessing, and blessing often brings misfortune. The Shannon plan, which has solved the crisis, has ushered in a huge turnaround. Because the new Shannon No. 2 spacecraft has a very high level of technology. Not only is it fast, but it also has an energy shield, so some small meteorites are not a problem. Large meteorites can naturally be cleared with shipborne weapons, and the S-level Master Xianku is no longer in danger, so he can also take action. The Shannon No. 2 spacecraft's resistance to space dangers is indeed many times higher than the previous No. 1. It seems that there is no need to slow down. If the Xian family can reach the target galaxy earlier, they will develop earlier. Isn't this one of the purposes of Xianku risking his life? Of course, the main reason is that the enemy forces destroyed the Shannon No. 1 spacecraft. Xianku also knew that getting a few technological NPCs back to solve the problem was the best choice. However, he was also worried that if Shannon 1 was tampered with in other ways, it would be terrible. That's why he got so excited after seeing Avalon and directly swapped it with Shannon. Xianku's idea was right. The enemy did have other means. If the spacecraft was not swapped, troubles would follow in the future. In addition to his own ability and the price he paid, Xianku was able to successfully swap. The fact that Avalon was heading for destruction was also an important reason why the reincarnation space allowed it. It was a little more reasonable to exchange a broken ship for a broken ship. Fortunately, the problems of the spacecraft were basically solved. The next step is naturally the harvest stage. At the current speed, Shannon 2 will reach the target galaxy in about 10 years. This will definitely be of great help to the development of the Shen family. Xianku is even considering whether to increase the speed appropriately to allow Shannon 2 to arrive earlier. It has to be said that the adventurous spirit of the head of the Shen family is simply engraved in his bones. He had just suffered such a big loss and almost confessed himself, but he still wanted to take risks. He was really stubborn. In fact, not slowing down according to the original plan was already a risky behavior. The Shannon 2 spacecraft is indeed very technologically advanced, but it is not certain whether it can cope with the unknown space. The safest way is to slow down for a period of time to test the pressure resistance of Shannon 2, and then slowly accelerate. Captain Xianku had no intention of slowing down at all. Xiaoming himself is skilled and courageous, and his parents' game cabins have also been moved to Guangmingding. So his intuition did not give him any danger tips. He did not think about this matter carefully. Or the game is more concerned about his mind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1139. Master, have you caught prey again? Shui Sheng and Di Yun were making a fire and cooking together. When they saw Zhang Xiaoming return, they hurriedly greeted him. Yes, you brothers and sisters have worked hard to take care of these two big cats, Xiaoming answered, while raising his hand to throw the 2 snow leopards he killed to the 2 of them. The snow leopards that appeared in the Great Snow Mountain dungeon did not disappear because the dungeon ended. Players can still eat meat by killing snow leopards. This can be regarded as a glimmer of hope given to players by the system, as long as the players have the ability. Xiaoming and the other 7 people, including Nan Saiki, have been trapped in the valley for more than 10 days. This place is surrounded by cliffs and heavy snow. Some places that could be climbed originally cannot be climbed because they are covered with snow. When they came down before, it was certainly not so difficult with the martial arts of several people, but it is almost impossible to climb up again. A few days ago, Xiaoming, Lu Tianchu, the Renai Lu Dadao, and Shui Dai, the Cold Moon Sword, inspected the valley. They found that with the martial arts and abilities of the 4 wonders of the south, they could not get out of the valley. In the original novel, De Yun still could not get out after his internal strength was perfected. At this time, he had just inherited the Blood Knife Sutra. Although his martial arts were getting higher and higher, he had not yet reached the level of the 4 wonders of the south. Xiaoming asked himself that he could not get out of the valley with his lightness and internal strength alone. But we brought a lot of climbing tools. Back to the direction we came in, Xiaoming led the way, and Lu Tianchu or Shui Dai guarded below, planning to use the tools in their hands to dig a way up. As long as we go up all the way, firmly nail the iron spikes in the places with solid rocks to tie the ropes, and then push upwards little by little. It should still be possible to get out. Of course, it is impossible to nail all the iron spikes all the way, and Xiaoming did not bring so many, but as long as the upper few positions are nailed firmly, the old iron spikes below can be taken out. Modern people seem to use similar methods when climbing mountains. They have no martial arts skills, but they are just ordinary people with strong bodies, and they can climb Mount Everest. How can masters like Xiaoming and Nan Saiki not get out of this valley as long as the props are suitable? It just takes some time. Seeing that Zhang Shaoxia is so well prepared, both Nan Saiki, Shui Sheng, and De Yun are full of confidence in getting out of the valley. They used the cave they found before as a base and picked up branches in the mountain as fuel for heating and cooking. The injured Lu Changfeng rested in the cave, and was carefully taken care of by Shui Sheng and De Yun. In terms of food, in addition to the dry food brought by Xiaoming, the 3 masters worked closely together and could also catch some prey. Enough for 7 people to eat. It's just a pity for Shui Sheng's white horse. Although no one took the initiative to kill the horse this time. But the horse can't stand the cold climate in the valley at all. And there is no grass to feed it. Horses are more precious animals, and it is much more difficult to raise them than raising cattle and pigs. So after living in the valley for 2 or 3 days, Shui Sheng's white horse died. It was unknown whether it was frozen to death or starved to death. Miss Shui Sheng cried for the white horse. Although she felt distressed afterwards, she also knew that human life was more important after all. Her father and several uncles needed to eat, so it would be a pity to bury the horse. So her white horse was still used as a sacrifice for everyone. Only Shui Sheng and De Yun did not eat a single bit of horse meat, and only ate Xiaoming's dry food. For several days after that, Miss Shui Sheng always looked gloomy and would secretly wipe tears behind everyone's back. Everyone ate her horse, so she naturally felt a little guilty. Shui Dai took the opportunity to propose to Zhang Xiaoming, hoping to let his daughter become Zhang's disciple. This sympathy card was played very well. In the untold story, Shui Sheng is one of the few good people, and Xiaoming always looks up to kind people. Shui Dai can see his kindness to Shui Sheng, De Yun, and himself. Only then did he dare to rashly make such a suggestion. So Xiaoming not only accepted Shui Sheng, but also accepted De Yun as his disciple. De Yun became his senior brother again. Looking at this look, Xiaoming will probably have many students all over the world in the future. De Yun, this silly boy, thought that his previous master Iron Chain across the river Chi Changfa was dead, so he would not resist becoming a disciple of someone else. However, De Yun actually had enough superior kung fu, Shen Zhaojing and Shui Daojing, as long as he practiced diligently, he would become a master of his generation. So he was just a name with Xiaoming. With this name, there were not many people in the world who dared to take advantage of him. Xiaoming did not teach him specific kung fu, but just told De Yun all the martial arts concepts he learned from Hong Kigong. I don't know how much he can understand, anyway, Xiaoming himself didn't understand much. In this world, the apprentice who truly inherited Zhang Xiaoming's mantle is Shui Sheng. She didn't have any outstanding internal skills, so it was just right to teach her the secret of longevity. It would be inappropriate to let such a lovely girl practice the dragon elephant prajna kung fu. Shui Sheng's talent is just so-so. Although she is also a lovely girl, she is definitely not as smart as Rong-er. She is also a person who cannot distinguish the situation when dealing with danger. She was held hostage by the blood knife patriarch all the way. If it were Huang Rong, she would have been able to tell De Yun's true nature long ago. She could even create an opportunity to escape. She would just mess around. Of course, if she ran away so smartly, De Yun would definitely have to take the blame, and there would be no subsequent adventures. Sometimes it is true that fools have good luck. Xiaoming had no expectations for her IQ, so he used the dumbest method, directly inputting his Changsheng Ju Qi into Shui Sheng's body, and then guiding her to circulate the Qi himself. After a while, Shui Sheng would naturally learn it. And she only knew the result but not the reason. In the future, even if Hua Taigan or other people were interested in Changsheng Ju, they would not be able to trick her out of her mouth. She simply could not express it clearly. In addition, in front of Nan Saiki, Xiaoming also pretended to mention it casually, saying that the internal skill he practiced was called Changsheng Ju. This internal skill cultivates innate qi, which is different from the acquired qi cultivated by most martial artists. The cultivation process is contrary to many common senses of martial arts, and it is very dangerous to practice rashly. Moreover, the practitioner must first dissolve the original acquired qi before he can practice. I hope to stop the four of them from thinking about it. Of course, it is not easy for Xiaoming to practice this internal skill himself. His life level is too high, and his body is the purest energy, so there is no acquired qi. He also taught many people how to practice the Changsheng Ju, most of whom were originally weak in internal strength. They practiced from the beginning, and with his guidance, they were able to practice it easily. Hong Kigong was the one with the highest martial arts skills, but he became a martial arts master with external skills, and his internal skills were not very profound. Xiaoming only needed a little guidance to adjust. Of course, it was not so easy for Hong Kigong to achieve great success in the Changsheng Ju Qi. Xiaoming spent 30 years, so Hong Kigong must have practiced for more than 10 years, probably. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 1140. Teaching two new apprentices is just a small matter. Xiaoming can do it casually in his free time. Climbing the mountain, setting up ropes, and opening up a passage out of the valley are the most important things. However, this work did not go smoothly. First of all, those snow leopards will come to mess with Xiaoming. Although they will definitely not be defeated by head-on confrontation, they can still try to disrupt Xiaoming's work at a critical moment. Of course, most of the time, they are killed by Xiaoming with hidden weapons and become food in his mouth. Xiaoming also understands that this is actually some corrective measures taken by the system to maintain the original plot line. Not only was Xiaoming's work of opening up the road out of the valley disturbed by snow leopards, but Nan Saiki's hunting was not particularly smooth. They often encountered several snow leopards to make things difficult. Xiaoming also attached great importance to this matter, so his mountain opening work and Nan Psyche's hunting work were almost never carried out at the same time. Try not to disperse the troops. At most, the troops can be divided into 2 routes, but it is not appropriate to divide them into 3 routes. Divide into 2 teams, each team has enough strength to resist the sneak attack of the snow leopard. If divided into 3 teams, except for Xiao Ming's group, there will always be one team that cannot withstand the harassment of the snow leopard. If someone dies, all the changes Xiao Ming made in the copy will be useless. When Xiao Ming goes out to open up the road, he is usually accompanied by a member of the Southern Four Wonders. The others stay near the cave. When Xiao Ming comes back to replace the remaining personnel, Lu Tianzhu, Hua Taigan, and Shui Dai will go out hunting together. Although the snow leopard has the advantage of terrain and good combat effectiveness, they are helpless in the face of the joint efforts of the 3 masters. What's more, Xiao Ming also equipped the Southern Four Wonders with bows and arrows. In addition to hunting snow leopards, Lu Tianzhu and others can also bully the vultures in the sky. As long as these things fly a little lower, they can be shot down with 1 arrow. These eagles are not as powerful as the eagles outside the Great Wall, and their IQs are not high. It turns out that in the plot, De Yun and Shui Sheng relied on these eagles to survive for half a year. The game system will try to correct the main plot, but will never force the plot to return to the original. After all, this game is used to guide players to practice martial arts and improve their physical fitness. It is not to reproduce the original 100%. Otherwise, wouldn't it be better to make a TV series? Being able to change the plot is the most important bait for the system to seduce players to practice martial arts. It is also the main purpose of most players. Xiao Ming is one of them. Therefore, the correction made by the system is a test, or an alternative way of encouragement. As long as the player passes the test, the plot can be changed and the wish can be fulfilled. This test is really not easy. In addition to wild animals coming to disturb, Xiao Ming and others often encounter natural phenomena such as rock wall collapse, tree fall, small-scale avalanches. Fortunately, Xiao Ming's character is very stable. In fact, he is particularly afraid of death. Every step is done very steadily, not seeking merit but no mistakes. With Xiao Ming's high martial arts and sufficient preparation, as long as he does not commit suicide, the system's means will not be able to take him away. So, this round of the system's test ended quickly. Xiao Ming's progress in climbing the mountain and clearing the way was smoother, and soon he had made a road. Several more dangerous places were firmly inserted with iron rods and tied with ropes. In this case, even with Shui Sheng's martial arts, she could leave the valley. At this time, more than a month had passed in the secret realm. De Yun's martial arts had made great progress under the guidance of Xiao Ming and the other 4 masters. Lu Qinfeng's injury was not particularly serious, and with the nourishment of Zhang Xiaoming's true qi every day, his injury was almost healed. It can be said that nothing prevented everyone from leaving the valley. So everyone packed their bags. Hua Taigan led the way, the others were in the middle, and Xiao Ming was the last one as the last insurance. The 7 people left the Great Snow Mountain along the road that Xiao Ming had opened up in the past month. At the beginning, the 4 wonders of the south chased the blood knife ancestor into the valley, and the subsequent martial artists were blocked by the avalanche and did not enter the valley. Seeing this situation, everyone had no choice but to go home. It was expected that those who entered the valley would not survive. There are those who sigh with emotion, and there are also those who gloat over misfortunes. There are many kinds of people in the same rice, and there are always people who gloat over misfortunes in any era. No one expected that the people in the valley would leave the valley after a month. So when the 7 people left the mountain, the outside of the valley was quite deserted, and there was not even a waiting NPC. There was no way, they couldn't wait here for more than a month. But the players would not leave easily. People from the Xian family, the enemy, and some ordinary players were all waiting nearby. First, it was normal for each player organization to get intelligence and send people to squat. Second, there were always some opportunists among the players. Some of them regarded this as a rare opportunity and waited here specifically to gamble. Third, for the NPC, a month had passed. However, in reality, only a few days had passed. It is now September 23rd, which happens to be the autumnal equinox this year. A few days are not enough for the players to give up. As for the veterans, insect humans, and monsters under Xiaoming, they were all notified by Xiaoming, but they did not wait here. Xiaoming thought that when these players saw so many high-level NPCs, they would definitely rush up to build relationships and improve their favorability. Who knew that they just watched, as if secretly passing on some information, but no one rushed up. This is too strange. Actually, this is the normal phenomenon of the game. Because the system must protect the characters in the plot. If players can approach and harass the characters in the plot at will, the whole secret realm will be completely messed up. Therefore, the system has special settings. The more important the character, the more difficult it is for players to approach. You need to brush up enough favorability and reputation to approach. There are prerequisites for how close you can get. And every contact with an NPC will consume the favorability of both parties, so you must be cautious. Therefore, every time players actively approach an NPC, they must go through careful calculations. You must be sure to get enough benefits before taking risks. Of course, Xiaoming's situation is completely different. With his current relationship with these 6 NPCs, he will not lower his favorability casually. On the one hand, it is because of the grace of saving his life. On the other hand, it is also because Xiaoming's martial arts are already high enough. No matter how the Wuxia planet game is set up, as long as the player practices martial arts to a high enough level, he will naturally gain the corresponding status. And Xiaoming's strength is not casual. He has been practicing in the Saint Seiya world for 15 years. How could other reincarnations do such a thing? Most players can't stay in the reincarnation world for so long. The reincarnation space can give inner strength as a reward, but the reincarnators often strive for other more useful things. They pay more attention to cost performance. There are not many reincarnators like Xiaoming who are bored.